Look at this. What's the first thing we see today? Pile of garbage on the floor. Sorry about that. Welcome to Tokyo. Not usually like that. It's early in the morning, and those two shops right there actually aren't open in the morning, and the shop owner will be cleaning it up, but nobody's there yet. What that is it's not actually all that uncommon, the garbage there. It's just somebody who would have been walking by last night. They've bought something at a convenience store or something. This is not people who live here. It's someone walking by, and of course there's no garbage cans in the streets anymore. Not for, I don't even know, when did that stop? Decades ago. So the guy just, if he was impolite, would have just tossed it. If he was polite, he would look around and say, let's just leave this here in his little bag of garbage. And then of course during the night, the crows get to work and away they go. So there must have been something smelly inside it. So yeah, so it's unusual to see garbage there, and one of us, it won't be me, it's a bit too far from my shop, but one of us, whoever's shop it's in front of, will get out there and clean it up. And I have to do that sometimes if the particular accident or whatever has happened in front of my shop. The sky tree, I was out for a walk last night. I went over to Sensoji last night. And I walked up, something for John Becker's, some bit of news here. John Becker, we're talking about the 7-Eleven over by the Sensoji. It's gone. It disappeared one day last week. I was up there a week ago and it was there. And then last night, I walked up towards Sensoji and the 7-Eleven is gone. The one with the black and white signs. So one up, one down. Anyway, whatever. So I get to Sensoji and I'm looking around and I got my little umbrella. It's raining. And the sky tree has gone. Somebody stole the sky tree. And the clouds were so low and so thick that you could not see at all the sky tree. I waited for a while and they blew a bit and you could see a faint glow where it was, but somebody stole the sky tree. Maybe the same people that stole the 7-Eleven. I don't know. Who knows? It's unusual to see a convenience store closed, but I guess that's their policy. They open them easily and try and get to traffic, and if they don't. And now that I think about it, that 7-Eleven right there, it's obviously pretty heavily dependent on tourist traffic. And with no tourist traffic now right next to Sensoji, they perhaps didn't have enough normal foot traffic to pay their rent, so down they went. So. Next thing you know, they'll close down that cheesy little theater. They're doing well. They are doing well. They have got online. They've got some big, it's Instagram or maybe it's YouTube. I don't even know. They're streaming, I think. They have come alive. There are crowds. And if you happen to be going down that street at the time when a show is finishing, you can't walk by. All the ladies and the young ladies and older ladies with their bouquets of flowers and the presents they're going to give to the actors. That place seems to be flourishing. Absolutely seems to be flourishing. There's no accounting for taste. It's okay. Each to his own poison. Each to his own poison. John's rolling his eyes right now. I know. John's rolling his eyes, absolutely. So, geez, I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. I'm going to say I've never been in there. They sometimes have a screen outside, a quasi-TV video screen that shows what's going on inside or shows replays of what's going on. And like John said, it's cheese. It's top to bottom cheese. It's, what do they call it? Overacting. Chewing the scenery. So, it's a thing. It's okay. It's a thing. It's not just the Japanese do it, the Brits do the same thing as well. If you want to see people chewing scenery, go to Britain or something anytime in November, December, or in the old days at least, and go and watch what they call a pantomime. You see people, and it's something similar to what you see here, I mean, not similar in terms of what you're going to see on stage, but similar in terms of, like nobody cares what you think. It's just all for fun, so. Okay, let's do some work. Let's do some work here. I'm in a good mood this morning. I think actually there was Well, I'll tell you later. Let me get started carving first. I can't start talking too many stories. Let me get carving here. Where are we? Where's the non-finished part? We got to kill this thing today. We have got to kill this thing today. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 11 rain lines left. I guess we're not going to get finished, but whatever. So where do we need to be? Where's the carving point? Move the camera. Panto, I guess it's still a thing in Britain. I mean, I don't know about with the lockdown and stuff, but it's very much still a thing culturally, absolutely. Like I should say so, I haven't been there. The last time I saw pantomime was in, give me a second here, 22, 51, 61, 70, 1972, the winter of 72. I was in Torquay, I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm sorry. I was in Torquay, and saw pantomime. And I was with a bunch of tourists from Yorkshire. I had been up to Yorkshire that year on a winter break to visit my grandmother, my father's mother. And I'd been chatting with her on the phone before going up, and she said, "Tell you what, it's not so fun for you to sit here with me and my brother." She was living with her brother. So she said, "Let's book a coach tour over Christmas." And this would have been, we booked this in the fall of 70. It's 72 or 73. I can't swear to which one. 72 maybe. So I get on the train from London and get all the way up there to Halifax and sleep at her place one night. And then bang, we get on the coach the next morning. And we're going to go on a 3-4 day Christmas excursion down to Devon. Torquay. Devon or Cornwall, I don't know. And I'm on this coach with, 40, 50, 60 Yorkshire senior citizens who sort of know each other, and they're happy and laughing, and they're off for a Christmas coach tour down to Devon. And Dave from Canada here is just blitzed by this. I'm the only young person on the whole bus. And she introduces me, and they're all chatting and whatever. The place is full of smoke. The bus is just smoke city, top to bottom. And we have a Christmas holiday in a hotel, a 3 or 4 day Christmas holiday in a hotel in Torquay. Be pouring rain all the time, but it doesn't matter. We're there to eat and see the show and drink mulled wine and whatever. And they took me to this show, and it was she said, "Okay, let's go. Part of the coach tour is tickets to the panto." And Dave must have said, "What's a panto?" And they said, "You're about to find out." And it was astonishing, absolutely astonishing experience. And everybody laughed themselves so silly. There must have been puddles of pee on the floor. Everybody must just laugh themselves so silly. I can't describe it. I'm not the guy to describe pantomime. There's lots of people here who know more about that. You know, pantomime, I think it's very healthy in Britain. I think it's so. I think it's, if there's any British people here, you can confirm. I think it's so. Someone here from UK confirmed they are still big around Christmas time. Very much so. I think it's a very integral part of Brit culture. Maybe it's England. I don't know, Scotland. I can't say British, but English, I don't know. But to that thing that started this, and John mentioned that theater on the corner here, you know, the Mokuhankan, the Wooden Horse Theater. The Wooden Horse Theater, you know, and it's still very much going strong, you know. And actually, John sort of jokes about this place, and he mentions that the theater here is all cheesy and stuff like that. But honestly speaking, he had a very, very, what did I say, important. It's really an integral part of Japanese culture, and John saw that and saw those ladies and the way they treated the actors on stage who are, as we said, chewing the scenery and doing their dancing and stuff. And those actors, if you use that word, the people on stage doing that job, they're really highly respected by their fans, you know. And there's training for it. There's schools where you go to learn to do that stuff, and you become somebody's apprentice, and you try and gather your clientele. And it's very, very, very Japanese. I've never been in there, so you know, John knows more about this than I do. He's seen that, you know. And people like he and I who would say we're going to roll our eyes at it, well, that's certainly not how the people who go to see it feel. You know, they'll cry. The people in the audience will take handkerchiefs with them, and they'll cry, and you know. If those people knew what was good for them, you know, in the normal times, they would promote it more heavily to foreigners, I think, as something to see. You know. They're busy out there, aren't they, today, the crows? Been a few days. Last time we didn't hear much of them at all. I think they're keyed to the weather, I guess. They'll go and hide when they think that it's going to be inclement, I guess. I don't know. Well, I have a link for you this morning. I got an email over during the night related to this print that we're making here. An email from somebody, I think in Britain, actually. I don't quite know actually where he is. Don't remember. But somebody found another link to another version of the original print that we are making here. Just a quick recap here. This is the Taisho, late Meiji era print that this block is going to be used to make. A while back somebody found a version, this version, which was the Hiroshige book from which the design was taken. You can see, oops, turned the wrong one off and on, excuse me. You can see the original black and white, blue and white, or black and blue version on the right, and it became a fully developed woodblock print. Well, somebody sent me a link last night to a full set of this book. It turns out there's 4 books in the set, and there's a place that has them all online. And here's the link, and it's the complete set of books that shows the full Tokaido set. It's called Tokaido Fukuezuzue. I don't know, whatever, set of images of the Tokaido in book form. And actually seeing, I flipped through it this morning, it says he's turning his page, he's turning his hands. I flipped through it a little bit, looking at it online this morning, and I see quite a number of the images in there that we have got as prints, that somebody else after Hiroshige would have died, they would have turned into woodblock prints. I'm talking about better to carve in the summer or in the winter. I know the level of moisture change during the day here really is irrelevant to what we're doing here. When we talk about a piece of wood being, too dry or brittle or something like that, it's because way down inside the cellular structure has changed. There's a level, and I'm talking a bit over my head here. Cells in the wood have like moisture inside them, and they can lose a bit of moisture, expand, they can lose a bit of moisture, expand, whatever. But the structure sort of stays the same. If they've been dried out to a certain point, then the cell structure has now collapsed, quote, split, quote, changed, quote, I don't really know what's happening down at the cellular level, and then it no longer comes back. It's been dried out too far and it doesn't bounce back. And a block like this really has dried out too far. Not because it was thrown in a kiln, just because whatever, the moisture has finally all flown away. So this block is brittle, and even if I threw this underwater or something for a few hours and then dried it off and started carving, it wouldn't fix it. It wouldn't make it carvable more than it is. I mean, the cells, I think, have changed. It's too, what's the word, desiccated maybe? So for us, the problem with our wood that we're using now is simply we've cut it. We've bought it like from a cut tree. We, quote, dry it, air dry it for a certain length of time in large size. Then we slice it up and, quote, dry it, again, air drying it for a certain length of time. And we're clearly not doing that for long enough, because the blocks that I used to use, and I talked with Shimano-san, our block maker, about this. I'd go over to his place to order some blocks, and they were boards standing outside his place, long, big boards down the side of his house, in front of his house, all over the place. And they were seasoning. I can't use the word drying, it's the word seasoning, because they're in the rain. And it rains on them, and then the sun shines, and it rains, and the sun shines again, and he flips them over and puts the back one on top and puts the top one on back. And it was just being left in a dead state, open to the natural environment over a period of a few years. And the only real word to use is it's seasoned. And sometimes even the surface would have been wet, as I said, because it was getting rained on. But just over that long period of time, the internal moisture must have stabilized. The inside rosins and the inside moisture in those cells comes up to the top and floats away. And you've got a block that is seasoned. And anybody that would make violins, guitars, or musical instruments would know this. A piece of wood that is, yes, on the face of it, it's dry, but it's not just dry as in, whatever. You see, when I pasted this down, I put water on, it went in, I pasted it down, and here we are carving. So it's I shouldn't keep talking about it in terms of the wood is well dried out. It's the seasoning, I guess, is the best word. I don't know. And that's what our wood that we use day by day at Mokuhankan is lacking, proper seasoning. And this one now has gone past that, and this is now old and brittle. But still usable. We're going to give it a go, Or I might have this one a bit too thick. There's the hot dog garbage. He's early this morning, making up for his lateness the other day. Did you catch it, the clutch? Could I flip the piece of wood? This is the other side. Hi. This is the front side, the key block. And the people that are just joining don't know what's going on here. This is the sample print we made from this set of blocks, which is somewhere around 100 years old. We've got a whole bunch of block sets like this. I bought them on auctions. They're garbage for most people. We're going to put it up on the left to recap then. This is on the left you see a print. That's from the Boston Museum of Fine Arts. It was made from this very block. We can tell the small chips and pops and cracks match exactly the print on the left. And we have the block set, but it's not complete. We're missing the rain block. So that's what I'm doing now, is carving the rain block. There's a full set of color blocks for it. They've been well used. It says, I'm reading upside down, side by side, it says Fuke number 4 in the set, or set number 4, Fujisawa. And we plan on putting this into production and into our catalog. Lots of conversation I'm not catching here, everything, but whatever. Someone's asking, do we do printing on stream? Not too often, but perhaps a little bit of a tease. When this block is finished, my next job actually is going to be doing some test printing, not on this block set, but on another block set. So I think actually next week on the streams here, we will be seeing upstairs some printing, I think. What's today? Today's Saturday. Today's going to be carving. Tomorrow, next stream, I guess I'll maybe still be doing this, I don't know. There's a sizing stream coming up soon. And then after that, for the next week or so, I have some test printing to do. So yes, we will see soon some printing on these streams, I think. As for what print I'll be test printing, if Taran is here today, he knows what I will be printing for testing next week. He's been waiting to hear back from me about something, and I haven't had a chance to even look at it yet. So Taran-san will be interested in watching what's going on. Okay, we've got an X here at the end, and this is a reminder. David was reminding himself, when I cut the first side of these lines, it went pretty well. I did not badly, I think. Slice, 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 slice. This one that we're about to carve the back side of, when I was carving the front side, it was okay, 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 and then oops, we had an oops moment here. I carved very much too thin. I got off a script and carved too thin, and then even got a notch, which we'll take out right now. There's a little notch there. So this one has a super thin part, and when I cut the back side now, if I just come down straight, zoo, 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 there might even be a gap in this rain line here. I don't know if that's going to be critical or not, but just let's do it. The other thing, be careful, as I'm coming down the back, because the wood is gone here, this might break. And a few days ago when I did this, I put the X mark in to remind myself, Dave, when you do the back side of this one, be careful. Am I going to repair this? No, this isn't the kind of job that would need me to get out the tools and cut some wood out and insert some wood and repair this. These are a bunch of rain lines, some of which are going to be nearly invisible anyway. Here's our thin part. Okay, we're past it. So it's this line here. It's normal thickness. Normal, normal, normal. And right here, it's super thin. And my guess is it's actually going to be invisible in this area here, because it's just been cut a bit too thin on this side. So we'll see. When we get to do a test printing, one of these rain lines is going to taper a bit too much. Will it make a difference? I don't think so, but we'll see. We'll find out. How many left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left. We're actually getting some work done this morning here. How's our time? Halfway. We're okay. Someone's asking about the ability to go in reverse and create a carving. Is it an ability most carvers have? The reverse thing has nothing to do with our job. It's irrelevant. We don't even think that we are carving something reversed. The reversing happens as part of drawing the picture. If you think about this, if you've got a picture you want to make that's this thing, it needs reversing, whatever. If you want to make a print that says B, you draw the B normally. You don't reverse it. You do this on your thin paper for the tracing, and then when you're getting your tracing ready, you paste it face down. Let me look from the back here. You can see from the back that B is now reversed because you pasted it face down. So the carver just carves lines. I don't care. I'm not reading B, 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 B. I'm just carving lines. Then later on, when they put ink on it, put the paper down and turn it over. The ink shows you the normal orientation. So the reversing thing here, it happens automatically as a part of the process. And the carvers, we don't think about it. You don't think about it. Just irrelevant to you. Okay, let's do a bit more here. What this was, this is my cheat sheet. I'm supposed to remind myself about things I was supposed to talk about today, or things that I could, if the conversation dies or gets stale, whatever. Dave, what are some talking points? And this was a talking point. Here we are. FedEx, another one was FedEx. We're doing a FedEx shipping this morning. Then YouTube comments. This is a funny story about YouTube comments this morning. But what was this talking point? There's even a hint. It says what it is on top. Any ideas? What does this look like to you? Looks like two keyholes. No, it's a weigh scale. It's a weigh scale, or Dave's quick rough sketch of what a weigh scale looks like it. And it's today, as I said, FedEx. Today is the day I'm packing the FedEx box here today. And I've been frustrated recently by doing the packing work in that we have no scale to weigh packages on. We've got a little weigh scale for letters. It takes up to 100 grams or something when you're trying to figure out what stamps to put on something. But we don't have a weigh scale that weighs, 5 kilograms, 10 kilograms. And what I've been doing, we sold a Tokaido set a couple of weeks ago, and it was about 20 kilograms, but we needed to know if it was over a 20 kilogram limit. So I hucked it over to the Takibin office around the corner, asked them if I could put it in their weigh scale. And we did, and it was 21 kilograms, whatever. And then she said, okay, shall I make a paper for it? I said, no, I wanted to use your scale, if you don't mind. So, and she wasn't all that happy about this, so whatever. So the other day, I had to get a scale to do this job. They're cheap enough these days, and I couldn't get one. I went to the Donkey store, no. Went to the Nitori store, no. And they had weigh scales. They had what are called, Taichu Kei. A little home weigh scale. You stand on it and it tells you you're overweight. We have these in every culture. And the shops here did have them. But the weigh scales they had don't work for boxes. That's what I showed you. The weigh scales these days all have little pressure pads. Toes, heels, toes, heels. You stand on them, line up your feet with this thing, and it tells you you're 6 kilograms overweight. Oh, that's just a random figure I pulled out of the air here. You put a box on it and it doesn't work. It only works for human beings, for people. So I went to Donkey, nothing. Went to Nitori, nothing. Came home. This is yesterday. And then 2 days ago, I have got to do that. What am I going to do? So I was chatting with Ayo and I said, Dave, well, if this is all you had, what would you do? And I said, I know what you're going to suggest. I pick up the box, stand on the weigh scale. It tells me I'm really overweight. I put the box down, look at the difference, and do the subtraction. Right? Weigh yourself with the box. I know. But I've got tons of boxes to do this. And we want a weigh scale that will weigh these boxes. I don't want to go through all that for each time. So somebody said it's doing body fat or whatever. I have no idea what it's doing. It's too smart. I just want a simple weigh scale. So you know the answer, whatever. The local shops couldn't help me, so I come back to Amazon, click the button, bang, and it was delivered later the same afternoon. This is freaky. I really don't know what to think about this. Order from this Amazon website. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning, and later the afternoon the package comes. I guess this is good news, but I don't know. Something kind of disturbs me about that. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable with that. So there it is. The scale is there, and my job today now is to figure out the FedEx packaging here. I knew you were going to say that. Stand on the scale and grab the box. Of course. I mean, you don't have to be MacGyver to figure that one out. But whatever. The other thing that astonished me, the package came, and I saw this. I don't remember the exact number. It was something like 1750 or something. 1,750 yen, or 1,760 or 1,740 yen. I don't remember what we paid for this. And this thing came, and we're, as I said, it's set up to use. And I thought, how on earth? And it's a weigh scale, it's got batteries, you open it up, and it's got complex packaging. How on earth can somebody make a product that's that complicated for such a cheap price? I just don't understand it. I really don't understand it. Lots of people made a profit. The Amazon shop made a profit. The delivery guy must have made a profit. The company that made the scale presumably made a profit. I don't know. All the people who had their hand in it must have got paid, went home, bought their dinner. How many people had their hand in making that thing and the shipping from wherever, and all for 1,700 yen? I do not get it. I guess we know why. Adam Smith, had it worked out, of course. division of labor. Nay, it's division of labor, obviously. Division of labor. Revving up outside. They got a few weeks more to go. Here in Osaka, of course, there's not so many trees, so we don't hear too many of the semi, the insects you're hearing in the background now, you know. There's a few in our neighborhood right here because we're so close to the temple garden. There's trees there, but as those of you who have been to Japan in the summertime know, you know, out in the country, whoa, you can be in places where you just cannot hear yourself think because of those sounds, the screaming, you know. And this is their last gasp now. They're dying all over the place. The sidewalk is covered with them here, you know. One, two, three. Three to go. Yeah, the ones here in Japan, they're not this 17-year cycle or whatever, or maybe there are that type here too as well, I don't know. The one you're hearing just now, this is every year. They breed and die and grow and breed and die and grow. This is an annual thing. Maybe there's also a multiple year type, I don't know. But there are 2 or 3 types here too. The ones we've got here, these are the big fat ones. They're about 2 inches long. There are smaller types with a higher pitched. There's ones with big buggy red eyes. There's 2 or 3 different types. Out in Ome, there's at least 2 common types right near around my house. Australia, 7 years, really. Soka. Yeah, they're about 2 inches. They're about, it's about as big as my thumb. A typical one here, the one you're hearing outside just a moment ago, it's about as big as my thumb. It's got good big wings, and sometimes they can startle you. You're walking along and this thing flies in front of you. And it can be really startling. I guess they think it's a tree, you know, they're coming closer to you because they see a vertical post type of thing. I don't think they can see all that well. You see them on telephone poles, and like the lights, our floating rocket light, it will also attract them. So I think they look for anything vertical, you know. So a person will fit the same thing. So every now and again, something will come at you until it realizes that it's not a place to land. So they can be startling. And some years back, I had a great experience with one of those. And when I was living in Ome full time, I did what's called a green curtain. Because I had no air conditioners, I put a net up in front of the house, which was the south wall. There's pictures of it on the blog from years ago. I put a net up, And whatever weeds and plants and stuff was growing at the bottom, they made their way up the net over the course of, June, July, and whatever. And by August, man, that thing was a thick, thick net. And it really did help keep the house quite a lot cooler. And from the inside, I'm sitting there inside with my screen door there, and I get the inside view of what turned out to be an ecosystem. I hadn't planned it that way, but there was all kinds of stuff to see. And one day I'm sitting there, and one of these semi, they came closer and landed there. And something I hadn't noticed, there had been a praying mantis that was sitting there beside it, which I hadn't noticed. And bang, he comes out, and this is a smart guy. He's done this before. He grabs the two wings at the side with his, the mantis has these hook arms. And the semi tries to get away, but he can't do it. And then the mantis, with his big mouth, he just moves right over, and right between the eyes, he bites in to this thing's head. And it's still struggling a bit. He chews a bit. It's still struggling. He chews a bit more. The struggles get less. And as I watched, he held the two arms as this thing was struggling, and he started what do you call it? He's moving to the left, moving to the right, and then bit downward, moving to the left and moving to the right. He ate the brain, or the head, I don't know where the brain is. He ate the head out of this thing. And it was so cool to watch. Bit by bit by bit, the struggles. They're still struggling, but bit by bit by bit by bit, it finally stopped moving. But by then, there's this big concave excavation where the mantis had just eaten up this thing's brain bit by bit by bit. So I'm watching this, and this is absolutely fascinating. And also I notice at the back end of the mantis now, it's expanding, expanding, expanding. He's eating stuff, it's going straight in his body. It was just so cool. I didn't have a camera or anything. This is like 20 years ago. It was really, I was just transfixed the whole afternoon. Didn't get any work done, just sat there watching this thing happen, this excavation. It was like one of those diggers you see in an Australian iron ore mine. The digger goes jump, 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 back and forth in this curving pattern while all the iron ore gets sent up the conveyor belt, This was exactly the same thing. What a way to die. Your arms get pinioned, then something bites between your forehead and says nom, 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 and then starts excavating your brain. I'll never forget that. That was so cool. Moving along, moving along. Seen a mantis catching and eating bees, really? Really? That's such a cool insect, those forked things and the head and the way the head moves, and they'll look at you, you come close, and they'll do the thing and look right at you. They're really cool. It's really, really, really an interesting insect. If I was going to collect insects or be interested in them, that's the one. Mantis, they are just so cool. How's our time? We're still okay to show? Yeah, lots of time. The other thing on my notice there that I thought that I really wanted to sort of bring up and talk about today, because it's another one of those stories that you tell against yourself. you've sort of asked for something, and when it turns out you get what you asked for, it doesn't quite feel so good anymore. It was great. Last night there was 2 comments on the YouTube channel. And actually, I might have been saying this thing a bit too much. One of the comments last night was another negative one, and I'm saying this laughing, because I got what I wanted. The 2 comments. So there was a whole bunch of comments, but the 2 in particular that I wanted to ask about that I wanted to mention. One of the comments was on that video I put up a while ago about the meanings of life. And I had mentioned that I'm frustrated in Japan because it's difficult to get into conversations where you can express strong opinions, something I sort of, obviously wanted to do. So I made that video expressing strong opinions about something, blah, blah, blah. Well, the comment, and it was very, very polite. This comment was very, very polite. It was from somebody who said, Dave, I get this, but I think actually it's not always like that. I'm paraphrasing. It's the newest comment on the meaning of life video, if somebody wants to actually find it. And the person said they were a bicultural person, maybe half and half, Japanese and something else, has been born here and grew up all the time here and is still living here. So this person really knows what I'm talking about. This person knows Japanese culture better than I do. They were born here, and yet they have a foreign viewpoint. And the point they wanted to make was that, Dave, it's not always like that. There are places that you can do this, express opinions, and there's also, and this was, he's sort of hinting that maybe I don't quite get how to do this. This person said, there are ways to do this if you prime the conversation first. Make it clear to them you're not going to be antagonistic and whatever. So the person's point was, Dave, you can do this in Japan. Think about how to do this and do it properly. Very polite comment, and I responded, with a thank you for this comment. Very good thing. So no problem there. Then on the newest video about the Great Wave. In the Great Wave video, the number 17, I had mentioned about brushes and block-wear. And I had mentioned our experience about how, rubbing the brushes across the block causes block-wear. And the comment that came in, which for a moment shocked me before I started laughing, the comment that came in started, that's not true at all. And then he went on to explain what he thinks about this. And you see what I'm getting at here. Dave had made that previous video complaining because he never has a chance to talk to people in the way that he wants to do. Dave wanted to express strong opinions, and people here won't do that to me and stuff like that, blah, 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 blah. I complained about this. So here this morning in the YouTube video, this guy says, that's not true at all. But Dave thought, why is he being so hostile to me? And I really felt this is an impolite comment. You shouldn't do this. And yet he has done exactly what I had said. This is what I miss about living in Japan. So I'm laughing as I tell you. And after I saw the comment, after a few minutes, I realized, Dave. And this is a really interesting point. It's exactly what I wanted. But think about this then. Imagine the other way around case. The young Japanese guy who goes to the West. Just bear with me for a minute here. The Japanese guy who, remember, he's grown up in the non-confrontational society. He enjoys it, he converses, he deals with his friends, but it's been a non-confrontational thing. So he goes to the West, now he goes to English school, whatever, gets a job in a company. Now, suppose we hear about this Japanese boy that as he learns more about Canadian-American culture, he gets a bit stronger and he gets able to take part in the business discussions and be good at this. Yeah, okay. Now, what would we think of that young boy? We would think, he's doing this right. He has moved to a different culture, he has adapted to this culture, and he is now behaving in a way that fits this culture. We would think, yeah, cool, that's good. I'm not answering for you, I'm answering for myself. We would think that would be a good thing to do. Okay then, write the same script. Dave has come here 35 years ago. If we apply the same standards to me that we did to that boy who became a more, not aggressive, he became a more assertive, self-confident person, Dave then, after being here 35 years, should, by those same standards, should cook, sort of shell back, and he should forget about this idea about wanting to have powerful conversations, because that's not how it's done in Japan, right? So if I really was going to judge myself by the same standards I felt about that young boy, yeah, go for it, you're doing a good thing adapting to the culture, Why am I holding myself to the different standards? Why am I trying to maintain and hold on to the behavior from the other place while living here for 35 years? Who's the guy who's a hypocrite? Who's the guy being paradoxical about this? I want it both ways. I want my jollies from having the good fights and arguments, and I want to be a guy who follows the rules and behaves and doesn't step on anybody's toes. And I'm not asking for the answer for this. I'm not asking for the answer. But that comment this morning, that's not true, or whatever the guy said, that's not true. It really made me think about these things, He then went on to explain a specific technical point, which I have no idea what kind of printmaking he's doing. It presumably works in his printmaking world, but the technical point he was making doesn't make any sense in our world at all. What he is suggesting just simply doesn't work. So in that sense, his comment was a bit meaningless, because he's talking about, a different animal. We're comparing maybe apples to oranges. He didn't actually explain what he was doing, but he simply said, it's not true, you can use a soft brush. And I'm here to tell you, we can't, in our type of printing, we can't use a brush that's too soft and doesn't have body. And this isn't just Dave's idea here. This is 300 years of very smart people trying to figure out how to do this thing in a good way. And believe me, over 300 years, lots of people would have, if they had, they would have realized, let's try a soft brush. Why didn't I think of that? It doesn't work in our method. So I'm not going to write back to the guy, because I really don't want to start anything, because it was a bit of a hostile approach. But whatever. I found that really, really fun. My instant reaction was, you can't do that to me. And then my other reaction a minute later was, well, that's exactly what I asked for. So both things are true. Haunted human beings are funny. Haunted, we are funny. We're hypocrites, not hypocrites in a bad way, but we are, no, what's the word? We're inconsistent. We're inconsistent, or at least I am. I think perhaps it's not just me. No, I'm not going to ban that comment. No way. It's a comment. The only things I ban or remove from the YouTube channel, and it's like once a year or something, every now and then there's a drive by some kid who just pours out a bunch of expletives and with no meaning. So of course I delete that kind of comment, because it's just an unpleasant thing to be sitting there, and it doesn't contribute to the discussion. But I would not remove this comment at all. No. I'm not such a sensitive snowflake that if somebody has a different idea from me or thinks that I'm wrong, no way. I'm a big boy. I can take this. No banning or anything. Not at all. Personally, I would have felt there might have been a bit more of a polite way to express that idea. But again, having said what I just said, I can in no way demand that. So that's fine. No. I wouldn't. Please don't jump in and defend me on that. Absolutely. Don't even think about that. That's not what I'm asking for here. For us, soft brushes really don't work. And in fact, there's really something funny about this. If I'd have known the conversation was going to go this way, I could have prepared. The brushes we're using these days are what's called we call them marubake. They're not actually round. Maru means round, but they're marubake. And in comparison to the brushes that were, this didn't exist in the Edo time. Brushes like this came into use, I can't give you a chapter and verse date, they came into use in the late Meiji period. Any illustrations or drawings or knowledge about the Edo printmakers, there's pastiche prints that have been made. They all show the kind of prints, brushes. I don't have one with me here. It's a vertical type brush. It's got a handle, then hair at the bottom, and they brushed vertically. The common word for them these days is hangabake, hanga brush. I don't know the name they used in the old days, just hake. And they were in steady use up until the Meiji. And the big difference is those brushes have a clump, a single clump of hair sewed and wound and bound together. Now I've got some, and when I first came here, Dave's idea was, I'm not going to follow these modern ways. I'm going to do it like the old guys did, because I'm going to do it the real official way. And I got myself some of those brushes. Didn't actually work. Okay, let's try the new ones. Oh, that works really quite well. So I too started using marubake, and ever since then we use marubake. We use the little hangabake for small areas because it works really well for small areas. But I, and none of the other printers I've ever spoken to about this, can figure out how to make them work for wide areas. And yet all the prints in the Edo time and early Meiji time, with no exception, all the old prints were made with a big hangabake with a clump of thick, hard, and this is not a soft, this is not swa. This is tough, rough horsehair, bang, bum, 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 bum. And I've got video, recorded on an old movie, clipped the video of the printers in the Adachi workshop, Murata-san, and then Ono Gintaro making some Hasui prints. And he's using hangabake. Enagu, plum, 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 chuck, 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 print, 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 go, 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 go. It works when you know how to make it work. And it's the antithesis of a soft brush. I've tried this. Soft brush, it doesn't push the pigment across the block. And the hard brush, the hangabake that he tried to use, it takes all the pigment off the brush. Think about it. When we have a brush in, we're going to brush the floor or sweep the street outside. The idea for the brush is not to leave stuff behind. You want the brush to take everything off the surface and leave nothing behind. That's the idea of brushing for most of us in most circumstances. And that hangabake, the hard brush, to me, it takes all the pigment off the surface. Whereas these ones, the modern marubake, which is a stiff hair with a sensitive top. This was the point in the YouTube video I had made. We need a sensitive top for not leaving marks, but we need a stiff body to be able to make sure the pigment gets pushed and spread around evenly. And if we got a brush that's too soft, floppy, 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 like the kind we use for our watering, it does not work at all for us. And this person who posted seems to think he has a way to do it. I'm guessing it's probably not traditional Japanese woodblock printmaking. But this is one of the big unanswered questions in Japanese traditional printmaking as it's done here now at the beginning of the 21st century. There's 2 or 3 major discrepancies between how it was done in the old days and how everybody does it now. One is the use of those brushes, another is the use of the paste, and a third big one is the sizing. The old prints show to a large degree that they were unsized. So there's a hugely interesting research project that needs to be done here. None of us involved in printmaking can do this. We're busy making prints and making prints and making prints. And we can't shut down our production line, change all the paper, change all the sizing, change all the glue, change all the brushes, and then expect to start up again on Monday morning and have to make prints. It doesn't work like that. But there's a real need for some wonderful exploration and investigation and checking and comparing. Whatever. It's not going to be me, but somebody. There's a massively interesting, massively wonderful research project waiting for someone to take on. And if I had known these things when I first came to Japan, maybe I might have been the guy to do it and think about it and try it back then in the 1980s when there were still people around who knew more about the old ways. But I didn't know. I didn't know this. And now, what can I say? I'm 70 and we're making a living and we're busy. But my God, there's some wonderful stuff waiting to be researched. Okay, that's the last one cut. Now what happens next? Couple of things. We have to clear out everything that's between the lines. And we have in a couple of cases here, let's think about this. Let's take a few examples here. I have clearing chisels that do this job. And we have clearing chisels in a number of widths. Did I need to zoom in again? I don't know how I'm doing here. Did I zoom out? I forget to zoom back in. I can't see the screen here. So we have clearing chisels in a bunch of widths. This one is a 2 millimeter. I have a 6, which is obviously going to be way too wide for this job. I have a 3, which will fit some of these. As I said, I've got a 3, I've got a 2, I've got a 1, and I've got a little sticker. Oh no, it's not actually a chisel, it's just a needle. Well, you've seen me use it sometimes going pick, 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 pick. But we also have the cutter knife itself. What's going to happen now is this. I've already done it in this case. See here, there's 2 lines. Is it better at an angle? Okay, there we go. There's 2 lines here. And the inside of them has already been removed because the lines were close enough that the 2 angled line cuts themselves popped out the middle. And it looks like that's the case here. But no, these 2 lines, the one I'm touching now and the one I'm touching here, these are the lines to stay. This mountain in the middle here is not one of the printing lines. It needs to come out. And I've got to decide method A or method B. And what I mean is this. Method A is to take the chisels and run down the valley there to take this away. Now look at that. That's my narrowest chisel, 1, and it's a bit too wide for this. If I try to go down that valley, almost certainly I'm going to bump the mountain on one or other of the sides. So I could take my knife here and I could try and cut out that intermediate space as a V. But to do that, these lines are so far apart that to cut the V means I've got to excavate really, really deeply. So what do we do? Method A or method B? Method A, I'm going to bump the lines. Method B, I go too deeply. I need actually a slightly narrower chisel. I've got a 1 millimeter, and I really could do with a 0.5 millimeter, but for some reason I've just never got around to getting one. So what are we going to do here? Let's take a look. I just started wanting to work across because the first one has the same problem. The first one has, so it's confusing. I'll be careful. That's a real line, that's a real line, and this is something that needs to be removed. Where is that one here? Too dangerous, too dangerous. Okay, so let's cut the V a tiny bit deeper, but not all the way down. Safety, eh? Not to chip the line. Safety, safety, safety. And our carver Chon-san, he's much more careful about this than I am, and he's got, oh my God, I've got what? I've got a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 6. Chon-san has, I don't know, he's got a dozen of them on in his toolkit, you know. He's probably got 0.3, 0.6, and 1 or something like that. And I guess it's reflective of your time, you know. Chon-san's just a carver. Every day sits there carving, so it makes sense for him to have a bit more of an extensive toolkit. Dave here's never been just a carver, you know. It's been sort of during the carving time, sit down and sort of make it work. I can't sharpen the needle. No, the needle has to stay. If I sharpen this, well, you could sharpen it into a sort of a chisel shape. I could sharpen a bevel on the back and a top on the edge, but it wouldn't stay sharp because it's on a stainless steel. It wouldn't stay sharp at all. And again, it would just start doing things it's not meant to do. This is a pry bar. It's just meant to poke and flip, poke and flip, poke and flip. It's not an actual chisel. It's a miniature, tiny pry bar. Oh, so much conversation. I am missing this. I'm sorry. I'm missing. So that's the point about it. You're hearing this step. It's going to break. You're listening to this thing. It's going to break. It's going to break. It doesn't. I could hang from this thing on the roof. It's a stainless steel sewing needle designed to sew through really thick fabrics like canvas and stuff like that. This is unbreakable. I cannot, with our normal chisels, we can't pry. Pick, pick, pick. We have to slice the wood, slice the wood. But this is not a chisel, it's a pry bar. So don't get confused by the sound. Oh my God, Dave is abusing his chisels. We don't do that. And it's not going to break. I could break the wood with it, but the thing itself is not going to break. So to see the difference then, let's find one. That's a bit too narrow. Let's use this one. There is a bit of a pick, 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 isn't there? Just at the very end of the stroke. You can see it's cutting, and then at the very end pops it away. But this isn't a pry bar, this is an actual chisel. You can hear the crunch, 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 our standard wonderful sound that this makes, you know. And in the early days, when I was first making prints back in Canada and in my early days in Japan here, this stage of the process now is where most of my screw-ups came. Cutting with a knife, it was okay. Hammering and stuff is okay. This stage where you've got your clearing chisel like this, right next to the lines, this is where I cause most of my damage. And what it is, well, it's visible. You know, I cut the line, and the idea now is the chisel here doesn't go below how deep you cut with the knife. If your chisel at this point goes below that point, then yeah, the line itself is going to pop away from the wood. So I've got to cut down to, but not below the depth of the line. And if I got to a place, let's make this up, if I got to a place here where, look at this, it seems that the wood doesn't want to come away, then I had better get my knife out, get back in that groove, and cut it just a hair deeper at that point, so that the chisel has a bit of a safety margin. I think I must have told the story before. Ito-san, after Ito-san died, the carver who was in the Remembering a Carver video, after I learned that he had died, I went to visit his wife, his widow, and we had a really, really interesting, super chat for a couple of hours, full of tears and full of stories and full of all kinds of stuff. She really, really opened up and just told me a bunch of stuff, most of which I couldn't remember later because my Japanese was not so good. But a few of the episodes that she mentioned did stick with me. One was the wartime stuff, which we're certainly not going to talk about now. But another one was that she talked about the days of the ukiyo-e boom. I think I probably must have told this story before because it's something that sticks in my mind when I do this kind of work. She talked about the ukiyo-e boom in the 60s, around the time of the first Tokyo Olympics, when the Japanese yen was still very much underpriced and people coming to Japan found Japanese products really, really inexpensive. So Japanese prints were a fabulous tourist thing for everybody. Everybody who came to the country bought ukiyo-e prints. And at the time, still, there was also domestic interest. Takamizawa was making subscription sets and things of Tanzaku prints and Tokaido sets and things like this. Takamizawa and Adachi and Yu-Yudo. And they were going nuts. They were advertising in the newspapers and salarymen were buying these print sets. So long story short, the craftsmen were all crazy, crazy, crazy overworked. Everybody had all the work he could handle and more. And it turned out that Ito-san and his wife, what happened was he had so much demand for his work that he had his wife help him with some of it. Now, she's not in any way a trained carver. But what the two of them worked out was this. He would do the line cutting, the part that you saw me do earlier, cut the lines, and he would pass the blocks over to her, and she would use these clearing chisels, and she would clear the zones out between the lines. And then it went back to him for the big man work, the big clearing with the heavy hammer. And she told me this half laughing, half crying, that she would be doing this just like I'm doing right now, and then she'd go, oops, and break a line or two or three lines. You might go, and she just laughed and said, actually, it turned out that we weren't saving any time at all, because whatever time I saved him for doing the clearing work, it took him extra time to fix all the broken lines. And she told me this story, half laughing, half crying, and I'm like listening to this and saying, whatever, lady, been there, done that. I know exactly how this works, because this is, when you're inexperienced, this is one of the places where you really start popping and breaking lines. And I see this with the prints and images I see from people who are just learning this craft. This particular stage of the process is dangerous because you don't know how deep your knife went, and it's difficult to tell right now how deep your chisel is going. So the only advice is take it slow and steady, keep the thing as sharp as you can, and keep your hands rooted on the bench. And my hands are rooted here, and the movement, the max movement, is only going to be a couple of millimeters. There's no way I can shoot forward because my hands are stuck on the wood. And I'm doing it, let me zoom out a bit. I'm not doing it like from my shoulders to move. Where am I here? I'm not moving my hands, I'm moving my fingers. So my wrists here, both sides, are locked on the wood, and I'm doing a sort of a cupping, sliding motion with my hands. So it maximizes how far that chisel can go. There's no chance of it going bop, 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 and cutting out a whole bunch of other lines. Tutorial, too much tutorial here. Sorry. It's 9:15. Look at this, and I've got my lines carved. Okay, you know what's going to happen on the next stream then? You're going to see me hold my breath and try not to break any of these lines while we use the clearing tools to cut them out. There will be a few minutes of persuading while we clear off the rest of the block. And before I forget right now, mark the registration so we don't clear it off. So that'll be coming to you in the next stream. Today's Saturday. Now it's time for show and tell. The garbage is still there. Wow, what's Tokyo coming to? What's the world coming to? Okay, continuing our saga of trying to get through this book. For those of you who don't know what's going on, we have a print collection in the building here. It's not a collection of old, ancient, famous ukiyo-e prints. It's a collection of prints and objects made with the woodblock printmaking technique. And we've been going through one of our random books here. We just get stuff, and because I don't have a full set of these prints, they just go into a folder here combined with other things of the same size. And we have many folders upstairs, and the organization is simply by dimension. It's part of our accumulation of prints. And we've been working our way through this book. The Olympic signs are still up. Of course, we're not finished. We're halfway through. We're only halfway. Please be careful about that. They're really sensitive about this. Well, the Olympics are finished. No, don't forget the other half of the world, the Paralympics, are going to start in another week or so. So no, the signs, of course, are still up. Okay, we got to this one yesterday. Today we've got 3 prints to look at. And the best way to do it, I think, is rather than trying to flip back and forth, let me just take the 3 prints out of their pockets. What's next? Ooh, next one is fun too. Here's the 3 prints we're going to look at. Let's get that light off. It's too bright. Okay, what we've got. Hands up, all of those who know what this is. It's a woodblock print. Normal, handmade woodblock print. It's not on super expensive, really nice paper. It's got a bunch of colors, is there a gradation there? I'm not really sure. There's gradations at the top and bottom. It looks like, what's the word of that ice cream? Neapolitan ice cream? What is it? It's on a strawberry, no, this isn't. The ice cream is, what is it? Strawberry, vanilla, and chocolate. This is whatever, something. Any idea what these are? Big hint, they all have a name and maybe a logo mark on them. So, a name and a logo mark, and in this case, it's an address, a bunch of addresses. These are wrappers. You can see the hint here, look at this line, and this line, where this object was folded. You can see where this is going, right? Those of you who have been in Japan and you have visited your calligraphy teacher, and you've taken her the monthly fee inside a little woodblock printed envelope full of your monthly fee, and before you go to your calligraphy teacher for a special session, you stop at a local, I can't say snack shop, that's the wrong word, a confectioner. You stop at a confectioner and you buy a little package of 6 or 8 or 10 little beautiful Japanese confections, and they sell it to you. And in the old days, they used woodblock printed wrapper along the outside of this, and then with a little special ribbon and in your shopping bag, and you present this to your calligraphy teacher. Somebody's got a wagashi, confections, Japanese confections. And nowadays these things, of course, are all completely offset printed. Back in the day, and this would be pre-war and going right back into time, they were made with woodblock prints. So what we have here are 3 kakegami. Kake is wrap, and kami is paper. So it's wrapping paper, woodblock printed wrapping paper. And in each of these 3 cases, the person who received the snacks, instead of just ripping it open and gobble, 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 they must have said, that's beautiful, and they would have put it aside. It's woodblock printed, throwaway wrapping paper for snacks. How many colors? Brown. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then they use a rubber stamp to put the shop name in. So sometimes we get these things, and sometimes the shops are still in existence. I haven't checked these, but how close can we zoom in here? I'm actually not sure what the kanji is. First I thought this was ao, blue. But I'm not sure. The second line from the top is actually broken up. And that could be an indication that it's a different character, or it could be simply a stylized version of ao, blue, sei. And I can't read this one at all. I'm sorry, it's quite simple, but I can't read it. I would guess ri, it's similar to the kanji for ri, but has a different section to it. So we've done well recently. People have been reading these things. Any help on this would be much appreciated. The rest of it we can see. This is the shop. These guys have 4 shops. They have a shop here. It says in Meguro. It says Meguro 10. Ekimai, in front of the station. Give me something. Just a minute here. Just a minute. I can do this. It's Saka. Something Nosuke Saka. This is Gon. Ekimai, in front of the station, Gon Nosuke Saka. The other shop, this is Shibuya. They have one in Shibuya. Shibuya 10, Ekimai, in front of the station. This one is Yurakucho. Anybody can read this. Yurakucho 10. And it's a phone number. The phone number. We should give it a call. And this one is Akasaka. That one I can't read, I'm sorry. Akasaka something town, something machi. And then again, the phone number here. And this phone number is going to be the Akasaka Exchange. This phone number will be the Hibiya Exchange in Yurakucho. But I can't read the company name. Can't read the company name. Woodblock prints for people to throw away. Now, those of you who know a little bit about Mokuhankan, the history here, 10 years ago, we tried this. If you go back before Ukiyo-e Heroes, let's go back 12 years ago, Dave is thinking about setting up a woodblock print publishing place. Oh, I see. It's no. The shop still exists in Roppongi. So it's Nani? Aono? How do you pronounce it here? Aono. It is no. Now that I see it, okay, yeah, you're a step ahead of me. I get it. Thank you. I wouldn't have jumped to that one. Yes. Thank you, sir. Chocolate snack. Whatever it is. Chocolate snack. So do they have a website? Search. Give us a website. Let me have a look at this later. So this is pre-war. This will be 1930s. 1920s, 1930s, somewhere on there. Not much older than that, I think. Whatever. Anyway, what I was saying, what David was trying to think about, how to set up a woodblock printmaking workshop. I wanted to make beautiful ukiyo-e prints. I wanted staff to have printers and carvers to make beautiful ukiyo-e prints. But of course, you don't start with beautiful stuff. So in the old days, a major workshop had benches, different guys, top guys, beginners, and there was work for the beginners because in the old days, stuff like this was made with woodblock prints. And a lot of them were really even simpler than this. Some of them were just 1 color or 2 colors, really, really basic stuff. So this was work that people could do on their first day on the job. You're a 14-year-old boy, you've been sent there, it's April the 3rd, you've been sent to work at this workshop, you've dropped out of school or whatever. You show up the first day, Monday at work, and the guy says, oh, geez, look at this one they've sent me. And there's a desk for you, and you're printing 1 color. And he shows you how to do it or he doesn't show you how to do it. And a few minutes later, there you are, you're printing. And if the registration is a little bit off because you're not very good at this yet, it doesn't really matter because this is cheap wrapping paper. And the point being that because there was inexpensive work, it was the entry, step 1 for the young craftsman, the young printer, and of course the young carvers as well. Now, once offset printing came in and destroyed that, and certainly by the post-war period, nobody is spending the money to pay for woodblock printmaking because by this time, post-war, craftsmen's wages have risen. Japan is no longer a third world country, and the upshot of it is there's no entry-level work for anybody anymore. And this is true right now today. This work for printers, skilled printers, make some ukiyo reproductions, make my Ukiyo-e Heroes, make my Japan Journey series. But there's no work for beginners. So Dave tried it. I don't have one here this morning. It'll be coming downstairs in another one of our random folders. I designed 2 or 3 simple food wrappers. A local shop in Ome, they were selling what they call Ome Senbei, which had kind of a plum blossom mark, because Ome is ume. I know that's the deal. Plums were the thing. Now the guy at the shop said, I'm not going to buy these from you. Well, he thought I was like, I had rocks in my head. I said, no, it's okay. You've got your snacks. You've got your normal offset wrapping paper. Bear with me. Let me try this. We printed up a bunch of our stuff using his design, and we stamped his name on it and stuff like this. And we gave him a bunch of these to put on his counter with a little angled stand that sat on the counter. And we just asked him, please show your customers. They've spent 1,200 yen for a box of ome senbei. And just point to them and say, for maybe 50 yen extra, would you like this to have a handmade woodblock print wrapping? And we thought, 50 yen, whatever, it doesn't matter. We're gonna get like 10 yen from this. It doesn't matter. It's the first stage of getting something going so that the young ladies I was hiring could learn to print this stuff. He said, sure, whatever. I'm not going to promise anything. I said, I don't want any promises. Just let me put the paper here, let me put the sign here, and let's see what the market is going to say. The market spoke. Not one person, over the course of the few months we were trying this, not one person put the extra 100 yen up. 1,200 yen for a box of, wagashi, senbei, and it would have been 1,300 if they had had a woodblock print, handmade woodblock print to wrap it. Not one person bought. I chatted with him back and forth. I stopped on my bicycle on my way to the convenience store, and I said, how's it doing? He says, sorry. And a week later, I'm saying, how's it doing? And he's like, sorry. So, after a few months, we gave up. I went in there and brought it home and sort of, okay, Dave, plan B. And the funny thing now, though, is if 1 or 2 or 3 people had bought those things, the very first ever woodblock prints made by the famous Mokuhankan workshop. My God, eBay, here we come. So whatever, we tossed the stuff, and there it is. I guess I must have 3 or 4 or a dozen or something of the ones that we made. I've got them in a file somewhere. And actually, we did sell some, because what happened was we put it on our website. I put on the cookies. That was the deal. I asked him to sell my prints, and in return, I put his cookies on our website. So for a certain period of 1 or 2 months there, during, this would be 2011 or something, we had ome senbei with handmade woodblock printmaking on our website. And 3, 4, 5 people ordered this. And it didn't actually work. They got their stuff, they got happily, but I got response. One, Tom Christensen in Australia, he showed me a photograph. He opened the thing, and there was just crumbs. Like, it must have been so much shaking and so much banging all the way through that he just had a box of crumbs. But I tell you, the wrapping paper, I don't know if it's worth anything, but maybe he ate the crumbs, I don't know, whatever. So we did. Mokuhankan actually sold cookies. We didn't make them. They're ome senbei from the shop around the corner, who is still there. So the idea is sort of still on the table. I really do think it was a viable idea of making a product that will be suitable for absolute beginner printers. But the reason I'm not going to start doing this right now is it's the same thing we mentioned 1 hour ago in this stream. Be careful what you ask for, because you might get what you want. Suppose that had taken off and all of his customers bought that thing for 50 yen or whatever it was. Now, it's okay, I get my few 10 yen for this. I pay the printer, who is just a beginner. But 2 weeks go by, 1 month goes by, 2 months go by. She's not going to be a beginner anymore. She's going to be making a bit more complicated work for us here. And yet the guy at the snack shop says, give me 500 more, they're going like crazy, let's go. And I'm like, well, we're kind of busy. We leveled up a little bit, and we're not, you see what I mean? You need a steady feed of kids who are going to work for next to nothing. That thing I mentioned before, the young kid comes to start in the workshop, X young kids one out of X will get better, he'll move to the next bench, X will say, I've had enough of this boring work, I'm out of here. And there would be room for some more kids to come in and try. So you've always got your trainees, your testers, to do your junk printing, and they quit, and they quit, and they quit. And the good ones don't do the junk printing anymore, they're printing ukiyo-e. So it only works if you've got a flourishing workshop with a steady stream of kids coming in saying, I might like this, give me a job for a while. And we're nowhere near in that situation. We're going to try testing some new printers soon, and we hope that very soon they will be able to move up and make some nice prints, So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, there we are. A window. We see these things from late Meiji right through up to the wartime, but we don't see anything like this post-war. Again, as I said, craftsmen's wages became too expensive, and you couldn't do this, and the offset printing had taken over. Anyway, I grab them where I can. They come up again now and again in Yahoo auctions. Some people kept them. Most people would have simply thrown them away without any hesitation, but a few people did keep them. If I had to date this one, I'd guess it. You could probably do research. You could find out when that shop had these shops. You could probably date this thing exactly if you knew what to do. All I can say is pre-war. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Today is Saturday. I will be back here again in 2 days. I was thinking we might have done this block today, but no, as you can see, next stream, I will be doing the clearing between the lines and maybe around, and maybe we'll finish it next time. I don't know. Depends how much time I waste telling stories. No idea. No idea. Okay, guys, thanks again. See you in 2 more days. Let's pop up the outside. The garbage is still there. The pressure is on now. I've noticed it, and the pressure is on to go and clean it up. Should I be a goody boy and go and clean it up, or should I just wait till the local shop owner goes out there? Stress, stress, stress. Haircut stream, if only, eh? My God, it's getting bizarre now. Haircut stream. What am I going to do? Get the shears. Okay, guys. Thanks very much. See you on Monday. Bye for now. Signing. Oh, somebody's coming. Who is this? Somebody's coming. Now we can sign off. Bye for now. See you next time.